Valmiki Ramayana, Sundara Kanda, Book number 5, Sarga 1, Roman numeral I. HANUMÁN'S leap. Thus Ravan's foe resolved to trace the captive to her hiding place, through airy pathways overhead, which heavenly minstrels visited. With straining nerve and eager brows, like some strong husband of the cows, in ready might he stood prepared for the bold task his soul has dared. Or gem-like grass that flashed and glowed, the Vanar like a lion strode, roused by the thunder of his tread. The beasts to shady coverts fled. Tall trees he crushed or hurled aside, and every bird was terrified. Around him loveliest lilies grew, pale pink and red and white and blue, and tints of many a metal lent the light of varied ornament. Gandharvas changing forms at will, and Yakshas roamed the lovely hill, and countless serpent gods were seen, where flowers and grass were fresh and green. As some resplendent serpent takes his pastime in the best of lakes, so on the mountain's woody height the Vanar wandered with delight. Then, standing on the flowery sod, he paid his vows to saint and god. Swayambhu and the sun he prayed, and the swift wind to lend him aid. And Indra, sovereign of the skies, to bless his hardy enterprise. Then once again the chief addressed the Vanars from the mountain crest. Swift as a shaft from Rama's bow, to Ravan's city will I go. And if she be not there, will fly and seek the lady in the sky. Or if in heaven she be not found, will hither bring the giant bound. He seized, and mastering his might, sprang downward from the mountain height, while, shattered by each mighty limb, the trees unrooted followed him. The shadow on the ocean cast by his vast form as on he passed, flew like a ship before the gale, when the strong breeze has tilled the sail. And where his course the Vanar held, the sea beneath him raged and swelled. Then gods and all the heavenly train poured flowerets down in gentle rain. Their voices glad Gandharvas raised, and saints in heaven the Vanar praised. Fain would the sea his succor lend, and Ragu's noble son befriend. He, moved by zeal for Rama's sake, the hill Mainaka thus bespake. O strong Mainaka, heaven's decree in days of old appointed thee to be the Asur's bar and keep the rebels in the lowest deep. Thou guardest those whom heaven has cursed, lest from their prison house they burst, and standest by the gates of hell, their limitary sentinel. To thee is given the power to spread or spring above thy watery bed. Now, best of noble mountains, rise, and do the thing that I advise. And now above thy buried crest flies mighty Hanuman, the best of Vanaras, moved for Rama's sake, and a wondrous deed to undertake. Lift up thy head, that he may stay, and rest him on his weary way. He heard, and from his watery abroad, as bursts the sun from cloud, rose swiftly, crowned with plant and tree, and stood above the foamy sea. There, with his lofty peaks appraised, bright as 100 suns he blazed, and crest and crag of burnished gold flashed on the flood that round him rolled. The Vanar thought the mountain rose a hostile bar to interpose, and like a wind-swept cloud o'erthrew the glittering mountain as he flew. Then from the falling hill rang out a warning voice and joyful shout. Again he raised him high in air to meet the flying Vanar there, and standing on his topmost peak, in human form began to speak. Best of the Vanar's noblest line, a mighty task, O chief, is thine. Here, for a while, I pray thee, light, and rest upon the breezy height. A prince of Ragu's line was he, who gave his glory to the sea, who now to Rama's envoy shows high honor for the debt he owes. He bade me lift my buried head, uprising from my watery bed, and woo the Vanar chief to rest a moment on my glittering crest. Refresh thy weary limbs and eat my mountain fruits, for they are sweet. I too, O chieftain, know thee well. 3 worlds thy famous virtues tell, and none, I ween, with thee may vie, who spring impetuous through the sky. To every guest Though mean and low, the wise respect and honor show. And how shall I neglect thee now? How? Slight with great guest so near me now. Son of the wind, 'tis thine to share the might of him who shakes the air. And for he loves his offspring, he is honored when I honor thee. Of yore, when Creta's age was new, the little hills and mountains flew, where'er they listed, borne on wings, more rapid than feathered kings. But mighty terror came on all the gods and saints who feared their fall. And Indra, in his anger rent their pinions with the bolts he sent. When in his ruthless fury he leveled his flashing bolt at me. The great souled wind inclined to save, and laid me 'neath the ocean's wave. Thus, by the favor of the Sire, I kept my cherished wings entire. And for this deed of kindness done, I honor thee, his noble son. O come, thy weary limbs relieve, and honor due from me receive. I may not rest, the Vanar cried. I must not stay or turn aside. Yet pleased am I, thou noblest hill, and as the deed accept thy will. Thus as he spoke, he lightly pressed with his broad hand the mountain's crest, then bounded upward to the height of heaven, rejoicing in his might. And through the fields of boundless blue, the pathway of his Father flew. Gods, saints, and heavenly bards beheld that flight that none had paralleled. Then to the Naga's mother came, and thus addressed the sun-bright dame. See, Hanuman with venturous leap would spring across the mighty deep. A Vanar prince, the wind god's seed, come, Surasha, his course impede. In Rakshas form thy shape disguise, terrific like a hill in size. Let thy red eyes with fury glow, and high as heaven thy body grow. With fearful tasks the chief defy, that we his power and strength may try. He will with guile thy hold elude, or on thy might by thee subdued. Pleased with the grateful honors paid, the godlike dame their words obeyed. Clad in a shape of terror she sprang from the middle of the sea, and with fierce accents that appalled all creatures to the Vanar called. Come, Prince of Vanars, doomed to be my food this day by heaven's decree. Such boon from ages long ago to Brahma's favoring will I owe. She ceased, and Hanuman replied, by shape and threat unterrified. Brave Rama, with his mighty spouse, lodged in the shade of Dandak's boughs. Thence Ravan, king of giants, stole Sita, the joy of Rama's soul. By Rama's high behest to her, I go a willing messenger, and never should them hinder one who toils for Dasharatha's son. First captive Sita will I see, and him who sent and waits for me. Then come, and to thy will submit, yea, by my truth I promise it. Nay, hope not thus thy life to save, not such the boon that Brahma gave. Enter my mouth, was her reply, then forward on thy journey high. Stretch, wider stretch thy jaws, exclaimed the Vanar chief, to ire inflamed. And as the Rakshas near him drew, 10 leagues in height his stature grew. Then straight her threatening jaws between, a gulf of 20 leagues was seen. To 50 leagues he waxed, and still her mouth grew wider at her will. Then smaller than a thumb became, shrunk by his power the Vanar's frame. He leaped within, and turning round, sprang through the portal at a bound. Then hung in air a moment, while he thus addressed her with a smile. O Daksha's child, farewell at last, for I within thy mouth have passed. Thou hast the gift of Brahma's grace. I go the mighty queen to trace. Then, to her former shape restored, she thus addressed the Vanar lord. Then forward to the task, and may success and joy attend thy way. Go, and the rescued lady bring in triumph to her lord and king. Then hosts of spirits, as they gazed, the daring of the Vanar praised. Through the broad fields of ether fast, Garud's royal self he passed. The region of the cloud and rain, loved by the gay Gandharva train, where mid the birds that came and went, shone Indra's glorious bow unbent. And like a host of wandering stars, flashed the high gods' celestial cars. Fierce Sinhika, who joyed in ill, and changed her form to work her will, descried him on his airy way, and marked the Vanar for her prey. This day at length the demon cried, my hunger shall be satisfied. And at his passing shadow caught, delighted with the cheering thought, the Vanar felt the power that stayed, and held him as she grasped his shade. like some tall ship upon the main that struggles with the wind in vain. Below, above, his eye he bent, and scanned the sea and firmament. High from the briny deep upreared, the monster's hideous form appeared. Sugriva's tale, he cried, is true. This is the demon dire to view, of whom the Vanar monarch told, whose grasp a passing shade can hold. Then, as a cloud in rain time grows, his form dilating swelled and rose. Wide as the space from heaven to hell, her jaws she opened with a yell, and rushed upon her fancied prey with cloud-like roar to seize and slay. The Vanir swift as thought compressed his borrowed bulk of limb and chest. He stood with a quick bound inside the monstrous mouth she opened wide. Hide like the moon when Rahu draws the orb within his ravening jaws. Within that ample cavern pent, the demon's form he tore and rent, and from the mangled carcass freed, came forth again with thought-like speed. Thus, with his skill, the fiend he slew, then to his wonted stature grew. The spirit saw the demon die, and hailed the Vanar from the sky. Well hast thou fought a wondrous fight, nor spared the fiend's terrific might. On, perform the blameless deed, and in thine every wish succeed. Ne'er can they fail in whom combine such valor, thought, and skill as thine. Pleased with their praises as they sang, again through fields of air he sprang. And now his travail well nigh done, travail well nigh done, the distant shore was almost won. Before him on the margin stood, in long dark line, a waving wood, and the fair island bright and green, with flowers and trees, was clearly seen. And every bubbling brook that gave her lord the sea a tribute wave, he lighted down on Lamba's peak, which tinted metals stain and streak, and looked where Lanka's splendid town shone on the mountain like a crown. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. Sri Ramayana. Footnotes. 394.1. This book is called Sundar, or the Beautiful. To a European taste, it is the most intolerably tedious of the whole poem. Shut the fuck up. Abounding in repetition, overloaded description, and long and useless speeches which impede the action of the poem. Just simply shut the fuck up, Mr. Ruff Griffith. Just translate and don't tell us your feelings. Just translate. That's all. Manifest interpolations of whole cantos also occur.